It was the 10th of July 2016. The 16-year-old Sydney McLaughlin stepped onto the track to compete in the finals of the 2016 US Olympic Trials taking place in Eugene, Oregon. In this race, we also had the 26-year-old Dalilah Muhammad, who ended up winning this race with a very fast time of 52.88 seconds. Finishing in third place was Sydney McLaughlin with a time of 54.15 seconds. Her performance broke the previous world junior record of Chinese Wang Xing, who ran a time of 54.40 seconds all the way back on the 21st of October 2005. Alright, let's have a look at the race. No, not like this. Let's start again.
Well, it's a very cool afternoon at Hayward Field, but these next 55 seconds will be hot.
So let's jump to the middle of the race. As you can see, Dalilah Muhammad is storming away from the field, and Sydney McLaughlin is in the pack with some work left to do. Dalilah Muhammad is taking this victory and Sydney McLaughlin finishes third. So Sydney McLaughlin broke the world junior record with a time of 54.15 seconds. But on top of it, she also broke the world youth record as she still was under 18. Sydney McLaughlin made it to the semi-finals of the Rio Olympic Games before she got eliminated, and Dalilah Muhammad won the Olympic finals, becoming the Rio 2016 Olympic champion in the 400-meter hurdles. But this was only the beginning. The following season proved to be even better for the young prodigy Sydney McLaughlin. It was the 25th of June 2017. The USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships were taking place in Sacramento, California. It was the third consecutive day for the women's 400-meter hurdles, the finals. In this race we had the 2016 Rio Olympic champion Dalilah Muhammad and the 17-year-old Olympian Sydney McLaughlin competing in the finals. In this race something incredible happened. Dalilah Muhammad won the race with a time of 52.64 seconds with a new meeting record. The amazing accomplishment is Sydney McLaughlin, who ranked 6th, but broke her own world junior record with a time of 53.82 seconds, breaking the 54-second barrier for the first time. We now jump to 2018. In that season, Sydney McLaughlin and Dalilah Muhammad didn't race each other a single time. However, Sydney McLaughlin, who was now 18 years old, broke her own world junior record in the national relays taking place in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the 27th of April 2018, her season opener with a time of 53.60 seconds.
Kentucky running well. McLaughlin coming out of the curve down the straightaway.
And look at the gap that Sydney McLaughlin created over the rest of the field. She's so far ahead of everyone else.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney McLaughlin, 51, 52, 53. It'll be a mid-53 flight.
And there is her finishing time of 53.60 seconds. But she wasn't done yet. About 2 weeks later were the SEC Championships in Knoxville, Tennessee.
So we watched her at the National Relay meet 2 weeks ago. Basically a solo World Junior record.
In this race, Sydney McLaughlin got a fair start, not gapping the field by much in the first half, but in the second half she put much distance on the field, as you can see here. There, she ran a beastly fast time in the finals with a world-leading time of 52.75 seconds, shattering the 53-second barrier and being the only female athlete in 2018 to break 53 seconds.
Well, here's the thing, she trains with Corey Carter at Kentucky. This entire hurdle crew, look at her, she does.
And look at this, she had quite a lead over Shamir Little. This also broke the collegiate record, but sadly this performance didn't get ratified as world junior record. However, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a legal time. In fact, this time is listed in the World Athletics Best Performances for the year 2019, as you can see here. But this was the final year for Sydney McLaughlin as a junior athlete. Let's fast forward to the following year. At the Bislett Games in Oslo, Norway, Sydney McLaughlin and Dalilah Muhammad finally raced each other. The personal best of Sydney McLaughlin is shown to be 52.75 seconds. Let's have a look at this race. So Dalilah Muhammad, as usual, is going out fast. She's leading over Sydney McLaughlin by a few meters. But look, at the end, after the last hurdle, Sydney McLaughlin overtakes Dalilah Muhammad like she's standing still. But Sydney McLaughlin ranked first with a time of 54.16 seconds. This is the only occasion that both athletes clashed and no world record was broken. The 12th of July 2019, Sydney McLaughlin took a convincing win over Strongfield in the Monaco Diamond League with a world-leading time of 53.32 seconds. But let's have a look at the race. So Sydney McLaughlin got the first start as usual. She had a bit of a lead over the field, but not too much. In the backstretch, she started to grow her lead, but it was still not that much. And then over the second turn, she started to get some distance, but not that much, a little bit. And the second half of the turn, she really was away from the others, some meters away, and coming out of the turn, she was gone. And you see the gap there. She is far ahead from everyone else. And she took that lead into the finish. Having seen how strong Sydney McLaughlin was in 2018 and how dominant she was in 2019, not having lost a single race in the 400-meter hurdles yet, I saw her as the favorite to break the world record of Julia Pechonkina, dating all the way back to the 8th of August 2003, standing at a time of 52.34 seconds. But then came the USA Track and Field National Championships. It took place in Des Moines, Iowa, from the 25th of July to the 28th of July. The 27th of July we had the preliminary round, where the second heat Dalilah Muhammad placed first with a time while holding back of 54.22 seconds, and Sydney McLaughlin placing second, also holding back with a time of 54.24 seconds. The next day were the finals, and that time both athletes would go all out. To my surprise, it was Dalilah Muhammad who won with a new world record time of 52.20 seconds, shaving 0.14 seconds off the previous world record. Now let's have a look at the second half of the race. So like you can see, Dalilah Muhammad got away from the field slowly but surely, and Sydney McLaughlin still was in the mix, and there she was gone. Dalilah Muhammad was leading a few meters over everyone else, and there Sydney McLaughlin simply put some distance on the third place competitor, but not that much. And look at this, Dalilah Muhammad broke the world record. with a time of 52.20 seconds. That world record stood for almost 16 entire years. Sydney McLaughlin ranked second with a speedy time of 52.88 seconds, missing her personal best time by only 0.13 seconds. But this race marked the beginning of the world record racing of Dalilah Muhammad and Sydney McLaughlin. The following time they would ultimately clash would be in the finals of the 2019 World Championships taking place in Doha, Qatar, the 4th of October. But now let's have a look at the race. So Dalilah Muhammad, like she often does, went out really quickly, and Sydney McLaughlin had this little gap behind her. You see how Dalilah Muhammad makes up the stagger really fast of the outside lane opponents, and she has some steps of a lead over Sydney McLaughlin, actually a few meters. And now coming out of the turn, you see Dalilah Muhammad and Sydney McLaughlin are far ahead of all others, and Sydney McLaughlin is starting to close a little bit, but not enough. After the last hurdle, she comes closer, but it's not enough. Once again, in order to beat Sydney McLaughlin, Dalilah Muhammad had to go over a world record time of 52.16 seconds that time, and her rival finished close behind in 52.23 seconds, improving on her personal best by over half a second. That year, both Dalilah Muhammad and Sydney McLaughlin ran consistently fast times, running 9 of the 10 fastest times of 2019. The next year, in 2020, due to the pandemic we all know about, both Sydney McLaughlin and Dalilah Muhammad didn't race in the 400-meter hurdles. Sydney McLaughlin not at all. However, if you look at the best performances of 2020, you can see a new talent rising to the top of the world, Femke Bol from the Netherlands. She ran the 4 fastest times of 2020 and 6 out of the 7 fastest times. But her story might be for another video. However, she will get another mention later in this video. But for now, let's move to the Olympic year 2021. Actually, Dalilah Muhammad contracted COVID early in the season, so that wasn't ideal to start the season off. Sydney McLaughlin, who already was 21 years old, on her side, opened her season strongly with a world leading time of 52.83 seconds in the Music City track Carnival in Nashville, Tennessee, that took place the 6th of June. 3 weeks later were the Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon. The 25th of June started off with the opening heats of the women's 400-meter hurdles. Sydney McLaughlin won effortlessly in the first heat with a time of 54.07 seconds, and Dalilah Muhammad did the same in the fourth heat with a time of 55.51 seconds. The next day, both athletes returned to the track for the semi-finals, where in the first round the fitness of Sydney McLaughlin came apparent while jogging the last meters into the finish with a speedy time of 53.03 seconds. She was looking to be in world record shape. A look at the race. As you can see, Sydney McLaughlin got the first start, and she got a good bit ahead over the field, but one athlete was trying to keep up with her, and that athlete was Nia Haley. But Sydney McLaughlin started slowly but surely to pull away from the field, only with Nia Haley going a bit with her, trying to stay with her, coming out of the turn slightly behind, but then Sydney McLaughlin really started to pull away, and after the last hurdle she stopped running fast. She was like jogging really, and still ran an impressive 53.03 time. Now let's have a look at the semi-finals of Dalilah Muhammad.
Here we go, back again.
That's not really what we want as athlete, to get called back like that. And this even happened in the prelims the day before. It's not even that anyone was started. So let's have a look at the race of Dalilah Muhammad. They managed to start the following time, and there you can see that Dalilah Muhammad doesn't have really a gap over the field, even though she started quickly, because Shami Little is trying to go with her. And then you can see in the second half of the turn that both athletes are separating each other from the rest of the field, being about equal coming out of the second turn. And then you can see that Shami Little actually overtakes Dalilah Muhammad and finishes first in front of her. Dalilah Muhammad was looking good too in the second round, but her time of 53.86 seconds was much slower, making Sydney McLaughlin the favorite of the finals, taking place the following day, the 27th of June 2021. Listen to what the commentator said.
The favorite, and Ada, we've talked about it, we could be on world record watch.
So, finally, both athletes would clash for the first time since the World Championship Finals in Doha almost 2 entire years ago. So let's have a look at the perspective where we focus on Sydney McLaughlin, and we see Dalilah Muhammad in front of her, going out fast in the beginning stage, and Sydney McLaughlin trying to keep up with her, trying to match her steps. And you see that Dalilah Muhammad is making up the stagger on her outside. Sydney McLaughlin can focus on her, watching the steps. And as you can see, she's about at the same level, clearing the hurdles almost at the same time, just being slightly behind, like not even half a step, but yeah, like a half a step maybe, but it's not much. And it remains like that for a while, coming out of the turn. It plays slightly in slow motion, but you can see in the home straight, Sydney McLaughlin is picking up the pace, and there she overtakes Dalilah Muhammad. This time, Sydney McLaughlin pulled away from Dalilah Muhammad, shattering the 52-second barrier with a new world record time of 51.90 seconds. Dalilah Muhammad placed second with a time of 52.42 seconds, which is pretty solid too, but over half a second behind the winner. But the story doesn't end there. We already had 3 world records in 3 clashes between both athletes. Would there be a 4th time? Well, to answer this question, let's look at the Tokyo Olympic Games 2021. The 31st of July 2021 was the day when the opening heats of the women's 400 meter hurdles took place. But before going any further, let's have a quick look at Femke Bol. The 4th of July 2021, she ran a time of 52.37 seconds in Stockholm, Sweden, missing the European record, which is the former world record of Julia Pechonkina, by only 0.03 seconds. So, she looked to be a medal contender too. In the 3rd heat of the opening round, in the women's 400 meter hurdles, we had Sydney McLaughlin finishing first with a time of 54.65 seconds. In the 4th heat, we had Femke Bol finishing first with a time of 54.43 seconds, and in the 5th heat, we had Dalilah Muhammad finishing first with a time of 53.97 seconds, by far the fastest opening heat time and the only one below 54 seconds. Then, 2 days later, we had the semi-finals of the women's 400 meter hurdles. In the first semi-final, we saw Dalilah Muhammad get a convincing win while clearly holding back in a time of 53.30 seconds. In the second semi-final, it was the turn of Sydney McLaughlin. Just like in the semi-finals of the Olympic trials, she ran a low-effort 53.03 seconds. And then, in the third semi-finals, it was the turn of Femke Bol, who held back a lot and still ran a fast 53.91 seconds. Then, only 2 days later, the 4th of August 2021, the finals of the Tokyo Olympic Games in the women's 400 meter hurdles during the morning session took place. We have Sydney McLaughlin in lane 4, Femke Bol in lane 5 and Dalilah Muhammad in lane 7. And then the gun went off and Dalilah Muhammad went out quite rapidly, faster than Femke Bol and Sydney McLaughlin. Sydney McLaughlin was pretty much matching the steps of Femke Bol, while Femke Bol was trying to catch up with Dalilah Muhammad, who held the lead, and then all three entered the home stretch. Over the 9th hurdle, Dalilah Muhammad still had the lead and Femke Bol crossed it at the same time as Sydney McLaughlin. Over the final hurdle, Dalilah Muhammad still was slightly ahead of Sydney McLaughlin, but Femke Bol was a bit behind at this point. After the hurdle, Sydney McLaughlin overtook Dalilah Muhammad, storming to the finish with a new world record time of 51.46 seconds, breaking her own world record by a full 0.44 seconds. Dalilah Muhammad finished close behind with a time of 51.58 seconds, and Femke Bol barely missed the 52-second barrier with a new European record of 52.03 seconds, now placing as the third fastest athlete of all time. This world record was pretty impressive, and it looked like it might stand for years. Also, Sydney McLaughlin didn't lose a single 400 meter hurdles race in 2021. But, and this is really a big but, now let's look at this year, 2022. In the 2022 American Track League Invite in Nashville, Tennessee, taking place the 5th of June, Sydney McLaughlin finally returned to the track for her 400 meter hurdle season opener, so a fast time wouldn't be expected as she hasn't raced that distance since the Tokyo 2022 Olympic Finals. Only the 30th of April of this year, she participated in a 100 meter hurdles race where she ran a solid time of 12.75 seconds, which only is 0.1 second away from her personal best time of 12.65 seconds that she ran with a pretty significant but still legal tailwind of 2.0 meters per second, and for her 12.75 seconds she had no wind at all. This means the wind reading showed 0.0 meters per second. This shows that her fitness is at a good level. However, nobody, and I say nobody, was expecting how fast she would run her first 400 meter hurdles of the season. In fact, one of the flow track guys who made the broadcast expected her time to be a repost of last year in the Olympic year, because the time was really so fast. But back to the race that we haven't started to discuss yet. So, running in lane 5, she got the first start but only slightly ahead of the field for the first 200 meters, but then starting to pull away. Down the home stretch, she did stutter step twice, so it wasn't a flawless race execution. Despite that, she ran a world leading time over 2 entire seconds faster than previous one, with a blistering fast time of 51.61 seconds, the third fastest time ever, only falling 0.15 seconds behind her world record of 51.48 seconds, run in the finals of the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games. Last year, people were discussing whether or not she would break the 52-second barrier. This year, I think we should discuss the 51-second barrier instead, because she clearly has much, and I say much, potential left, and she hasn't peaked yet, as she's only 22 years old. But before all of that, let's think about something, because there are the USA's, and I mean the USA Track and Field Championships 2022, where you need to make the team for the World Championships. However, Dalilah Muhammad doesn't need to compete since she's the world champion. So Sydney McLaughlin will race there. And she will race pretty much alone in front. But now let's have a look at this race, because it just took place, the 25th of June 2022 actually. And the day before, in the semi-finals, we saw how Sydney McLaughlin ran effortlessly away from everyone and still clearly holding back a lot. So it's finally time for the finals of the 25th of June 2022 USA Track and Field Championships Women's 400 meter hurdles finals. We have the clear favorite Sydney McLaughlin, and not really anyone who could challenge her, so it might be a solo run pretty much, a bit like in the semi-finals where she was so far ahead of anyone else. Alright, let's have a look at the race. So the gun goes off and they start the race. As you can see, Sydney McLaughlin went out the fastest of everyone else, but not much faster as it's in the early stages. And then in the backstretch you can see how she's starting to pull away from everyone. She has already a gap, and she made the stagger of all athletes coming out of the second turn. You can see she's good bit ahead, and there she's gone, really gone in the backstretch. You can see she's putting more and more distance. It's getting close to the world record. Is it enough? It is enough. She breaks her own world record by 0.05 seconds without the presence of Dalilah Muhammad. That's a solo run, pretty impressive of Sydney McLaughlin. And that without the presence of Dalilah Muhammad. So imagine, just imagine, with Dalilah Muhammad and Femke Bol in the World Championship Finals, taking place in about 3 weeks after this finals. What do you think? What time will they run? Will Sydney McLaughlin break the 51-second barrier? Will she win closely or by a big margin? Who will place second? Will anyone else break the 51 second barrier? What times will Femke Bol and Dalilah Muhammad run? And will Femke Bol break 52 seconds for the first time in her career? And will she maybe even break 51 seconds? What are your thoughts? Please write your answers in the comment section down below. Here are my predictions. I expect her to break her own world record, maybe even breaking the 51 second barrier with a time, let's say 50.93 seconds. And Dalilah Muhammad might also run a faster time than the previous world record, but missing out close onto the 51 second barrier with a 51.07 second. And I think that it will be Femke Bol to break the 51 second barrier with the 50.99 second performance. Thank you for having watched this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Until next time guys, see you soon.